Welcome to True Health Tuesday, and the truth will set you free. Okay, today I'm here with my best friend and better-looking brother, Dr. Tony. Okay, we're going to be talking about thyroid and adrenal glands, which I'm telling you, it's like an epidemic now. And we're going to keep it clean. Okay, with the Dr. BVIP, we've got a second half that's going to be on the censored portion. And I know what a lot of people are saying. There's censorship? No, there's censorship. Okay, and Extreme Health Academy, we're going to be blending these sites in the next few months because social media is being a bit of a challenge. Okay, here's the 6 keys for have a healthy thyroid, and then we're going to expand and get into them deep. Number 1, stress, and there's 3 stressors: physical stress, chemical stress, and emotional stress. So if you have any of those stressors, it's going to negatively affect, or it's going to put your body in an adrenal dominant, low functioning thyroid state. Gut health, huge. That's not only your immune system, it's everything else. And that's why, thank God Dr. Tony's here, because he's going to give his input. He knows I boatload more about plants and detoxification, which is the 5th one, and specific nutrients. Nervous system, this is huge, okay? The way I look at this, okay, so your body is always breaking down and building up, okay? We're talking 1 billion cells a day. And that's the metabolism.
And if it doesn't build, that's when you have a crisis.
That's when you have a crisis. If you build cells faster than they break down, that's called health.
Health.
Okay, if you break down faster than you build up, that's called lack of ease.
Yeah, imbalance.
Okay, dis-ease. Okay.
Dis-ease, yes.
Okay, so when you look at this, we've got digestion, we've got the liver, we've got the stomach. What drives me crazy, particularly with the medical world, is they isolate the thyroid. They say you have a thyroid issue. Really? But I mean, the thyroid.
I think they tell everybody that.
Well, we're getting into it because, I mean, when you look at this, the Huffington Post, and this is a quote from 2017, an epidemic, okay? 60 million Americans, mostly women. Really? If you had a herd of water buffalo, that a good hunk of that herd had a thyroid issue, would you think it's a thyroid issue, or do you think it might be some environmental toxin?
Yeah, exactly. We've got to really look at what is the root cause.
And that's the key, because, I mean, when you understand that your body, you build cells healthy, you live, and you got good function. You don't build healthy cells, you in a stress state, you're going to have a lack of ease or disease. So anybody that's been diagnosed with a thyroid, you got to make sure that a thyroid issue, whether hypo, it doesn't matter. Okay, you've got to look at not a genetic cause, okay, but look at environmental cause. Look at the physical, chemical, emotional stress, gut health, all the stuff we're looking at.
And general lifestyle. There are so many determining factors that cause this imbalance, and we've been locked down, as you know, for 3 years, so we've got heavier than ever before. Even our military gained an extra 30 pounds, which is ridiculous.
Okay. So we're not going to talk about lockdowns or the value or negative effect of that. Thank you. I just got over a strike on YouTube. I know, man. I want to talk like normal too.
There was a strike?
Okay.
A lightning strike?
No, it's like baseball. You get 3 strikes, you're completely out.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I swung at a fastball.
It's like in a pub in Ireland. You get thrown out after your first warning. You don't get a third warning.
Okay, in Ireland, do they fluoridate the water? Do they put a neurotoxic?
They do not.
In this country,
we do not.
And this has been used back since the 1800s. They would give fluoride to slow down a thyroid. So, like, think of Marty Feldman, okay, the bulging eyes, hyperthyroid. They would give fluoride to slow it down. Now, you might be thinking, wait a second, if they put fluoride in the water, okay, but if they use the fluoridated water to make stuff like Coca-Cola, beer, mix it in with the milk or anything else, fluoride's going to be all over the place. And if they used to use that to suppress it. So what can you do? Okay, knowing that if you're eating packaged foods, everything else, and the medical world isn't going to go in to say, gee, your thyroid is acting, is responding correctly based on the environment.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's what I think it is. Like when we get somebody with a hyper or hypo, by God, it's working correctly based on the environment. If you're under stress, it's going to be low. If you're toxic, it's going to be low, and the adrenals are going to take over. What could you do to deal with the toxic fluoride?
Well, for sure, we'll stop consuming things that consume or that contain this excess fluoride, because, like you said, they put it in the water, and the role of the government putting that in the water was to slow you down and make you passive. But in the process, people gained a significant amount of weight as a result. We don't do that in Europe. We've done that in other countries during the wartime to lead people and make them all sedate. It's almost like giving them weed to smoke on a daily basis. So detoxification is very important. Really being careful of the types of food that you actually eat, and eating particularly more sea vegetation, these tonic herbs. If you look at the Asian cultures, they're very slim, they're very fit. You know, you spend a lot of time over in Thailand. You look at them, they're very happy, they're very upbeat. Their body composition is actually really great. So they're consuming a lot of sea vegetation, particularly dulse and kelp. When you consume those, then the thyroid seems to work much more effectively, as distinct from synthetic thyroid medication.
Okay, so if you're taking notes, if you're being poisoned by fluoride, you said stop the poisoning.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
No, I mean it's true. This is how I got to talk to people too.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like they don't know.
But no, people never really talk about their thyroid in this country. They never talk about, oh, my adrenals are shot, my thyroid is. They never talk about these types of things. But this is really important, because it's one of the first line of defenses against the onslaught of free radicals from the air we breathe, the food we eat, environmental factors, and dietary habits, and how you live your life. It's also very important. Finding balance is very difficult for most people. So you don't have to be out of balance and then to wake up one day and think, oh my goodness, I'm really sicker than what I thought I was. And so this is why chiropractic treatment is really important. Prayer, meditation, making really good habits, exercising, and watch what you put in your mouth.
When I mean, we do so many physicals here and at our clinic in Thailand and the one in Mexico, and when I see people taking a thyroid medication, I'll say, well, did you have any operations on the thyroid? No, but I've been taking it for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, so one of the reasons that fluoride negatively affects the thyroid is because it's a halide. It's similar in structure to iodine, and the thyroid needs iodine. That's why the kelp is so gosh darn important. But there's also chlorine and bromine. These are all things that you're exposed to. So if you're pristine, you're doing everything to not get the fluoride. What happens when you shower?
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to get the chlorine in there. Okay.
Pathogens. These pathogens just penetrate the lymphatic system, penetrate the bloodstream, and then they cause a cascade of real problems. Our water is very dirty. Our environment is very, very, very unclean. So we really have to be careful what we put. We think that so I know people that still drink tap water. They think it's really good. And this is what your municipal water district does to you. They put garbage in there and you expect that to be clean, but we know that it's not. They say that it's safe for drinking, but they won't drink it themselves.
Yeah.
The people that make the decisions, that is.
When you look at the medications and how they're recycling the sewage treatment plant water, okay, they're mixing it in. Okay, you've got to have good filtration system.
And minerals.
Oh, God, yeah.
And minerals. If you don't have the minerals, I mean, it's out of the soil. I mean, over farming and poor crop rotation. I'm a farm boy, as I've told you a few times. Don't look like a farm boy today. But over farming has destroyed the topsoil. So you got nothing in there. There's no minerals. There's no nothing. Where there's no life, there's no minerals. Linus Pauling said that every sickness and every ailment can be traced to a vitamin mineral deficiency. Your thyroid is that important.
When you see, because every place I've ever lived, we've always had a garden. Okay, and the number one thing that I pride myself, is it tomatoes? Is it my cucumbers? Or is it the soil?
Yeah, watch what grows and doesn't grow.
Oh my God, I grow the greatest soil ever. Okay, I'm constantly turning it, churning it, adding the worms, they just appear. But I mean, worm castings, guano from everywhere. I mean, it's just my soil. If I bleed in it, a child would grow.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, that's not what's happening in the farms. Okay, the organic farms, they have good stewardship where they're literally allowing the bacteria and funguses and life in the soil to grow.
Yeah, we're not doing that. We just go and buy some stuff and hopefully that we think it's going to nourish us. And that's why our teeth start falling out. This is why we have pica. This is why we have bleeding. This is why we have heart problems. This is why we have massive inflammation. Our soil is so depleted with vital nutrients. It's a sin, really, isn't it, Dr. John? This over farming we talked about momentarily.
Now, to replace those minerals, what kind of stuff? What do you do? I recommend, getting healthy salts, and I mean salts that have a color. Okay, dark brown, gray, pink. That way you get a variety of these minerals in the system. Plants,
Green superfoods are the best.
Green superfoods.
Yeah.
They're grown in nutrient-rich soil, so they draw the copper, selenium, zinc out of that soil and ionizes, so you can get the utilization of it.
Yeah. The ingestion of green and red superfoods has diminished significantly in this country because over 86% of the U.S. population hardly eat any. They did a study at UCLA, and they were able to determine that 1 cup of broccoli gave you roughly about 500 milligrams of calcium. Today, it's about 50 to 60 cups to get the same amount of calcium. It's just simply not in our soil because we pre-package everything. We're on the go all the time. We have fast food restaurants. We have more fast food restaurants in America than the entire world combined. We're opening over 2,000 fast food restaurants in the USA every single year. So now you have delivery coming to homes all the time. I mean, that's a huge multi-billion-dollar industry. People simply don't care. They just eat the food. They're assuming they're under the false pretense. You said a great word, which I love, stewardship. And that's what you're doing with your little farm. And that's what they do in countries that really harvest really beautiful organic food that's free of pesticides, herbicides, and insecticides. They treat it like it's their child. It's very important. We don't do that so much in this country, though I love our farmers.
And one of the biggest things, and the farmers are going to take back the world, thank God.
For sure.
Bromine. We used to allow bread to rise with iodine, and they stopped doing that years ago. Now, bromine is banned in Canada, banned in the UK. So, but anytime you're eating commercially produced bread, it's gonna be brominated flour, and this negatively affects the thyroid. So, with all those fast food restaurants, and when I get, and this is kind of interesting, but we get a lot of patients from every part of the world. Okay, I mean, I've got a few people that own magazines, a few people that own hospitals, and I've got a few people that work at fast food restaurants. So we're talking the gamut of the world. Okay, some people driving Ferraris, some people taking the bus. The ones that work at fast food restaurants, and universally, kidney disorders, kidney disease. Okay, now the blood toxicity, I could understand because you're eating stuff that you can't break down, and then you're eating the glyphosate-soaked bread, which is going to damage the gut flora, and that's going to lead to undigested proteins leaching into the bloodstream. And this is one of the key things for Hashimoto's.
Yeah, you showed me something one time, not to interrupt you, brother. You showed me something. This is really important that people understand. You showed me, just to back up what you're saying, you showed me some x-rays of people who eat our standard American diet, SAD, all that processed food. Their bone matrix, their bone structure was incredibly weak. Someone in their 20s and 30s looked like the bones of a 70 or 80-year-old. They're literally crumbling. We're literally falling apart. This is why it's so important that you really make those choices and take responsibility, because you will pay for it later on in life for sure. You'll be crippled literally because you're just breaking your bones, your back. You have the Dodgers hump. You'll be walking like this. And I see that all day long with patients and also with people that I observe in the streets and when I walk and travel around the country. I see that happening. So I know that their whole bone matrix is beginning to crumble and tilt forward. So this is why the Hunzas and the Vilcaba Indians, the Azerbaijanis, the Titicacans, the longest lived people in the world, are very upright and very strong, beautiful posture, beautiful teeth, lean and fit and healthy. And we can do that too. But it's all about taking responsibility and making those choices, right?
And when you're looking at it, like when we look at the x-rays, okay, poop coming out should be about the same diameter as the vertebrae if we're looking at x-ray. Okay, that's kind of gross, graphic, but that's about it. You'll see gas that should be about this big around coming down, this big. And so you know that the integrity of the intestinal wall has been compromised. There's going to be a change or interruption of the healthy gut flora. And this is going to cause funguses, molds, yeast that have these hyphae that bore holes in the intestinal tract and the antibiotic properties of glyphosate. So you're literally causing proteins that aren't tempered by digestion to float in the bloodstream. And that's Hashimoto's. We were talking about Hashimoto's right before.
I was fascinated by what you shared with me earlier about that.
Well, it's kind of cool because like when I talk to a patient, I'll say, oh, okay, Is Hashimoto's hypo, or both? You always want to ask a question that you already know the answer to. Like, I'm never going to ask my wife, "Do you love me?" Okay, that might be variable based on the day. Okay, but this one, but you have to ask. It's Socratic method of teaching, because if you have proteins that aren't tempered by digestion, the body recognizes those proteins as bad. So if you're taking glutenicases or dairy or wheat, then those antibodies are going to negatively affect the thyroid. So if you're eating a bunch of this stuff, your antibody production goes up, and that's going to negatively affect the thyroid. So now it's going to be hypo. Then those proteins get dissolved, absorbed, flushed out, going through the kidneys, everything else. Then the thyroid can rebound into hyper. So it's going to go up and down. So you can't look at the thyroid as in an isolated environment. It never is. The friggin' thing's connected to the rest of the body.
It's almost a fight or flight that's going on a continuous basis. It's like your dog running, trying to catch his or her tail, just consistently going on and on. And that microbiome that you talked about, Eli Metchnikoff won the Nobel Prize many, many years ago, and he said the root cause of most of our problems is in our microbiome, which we now know is considered our second brain. So if you don't fix the gut, you're going to have the Hashimoto's, you're going to have thyroid problems, you're going to have adrenal exhaustion, you're going to be wiped out all the time. And Dr. Hazen, Sabine Hazen, is a colleague and friend of mine, medical doctor. She's the most amazing doctor on the planet, other than you, of course. She's a medical doctor. All our family are doctors. And she said, we're born with no bugs and we die with lots of bugs in our microbiome, because you just said it's this wide right now and you could literally drive a train through it. And you have no protection whatsoever. Everything that comes along, if the wind blows, you're going to be susceptible to every ailment that happens. So you want to make sure that you work on that, and we can certainly help you with that.
And when you're looking at like 500 miles either side of the Mississippi, that's a cancer belt. And the reason is because of the runoff from the glyphosates, the industrial production, everything else. It's destroying the gut flora.
Yeah.
So this fast food restaurants, okay, and this is why, if you've been diagnosed with a low functioning thyroid, or diagnosed with a high functioning thyroid, or diagnosed with adrenal fatigue, right now, I hope you're sitting down, your body's responding correctly based on the environment. There's nothing wrong with it. It's responding correctly. And that's why you can't address a low functioning thyroid or adrenal like it's involving those organs. You got to look at why it's responding that way. Does that make sense?
And generally, you go to your doctor and they'll just give you a prescription, and hopefully they think, oh, this will fix it. And it doesn't. It's just a Band-Aid type of approach. And that's, for me, is not medicine. That simply is not medicine.
Really? Just one pill for everyone?
Yes.
You don't think that's a good approach?
I'm doing another book. It's my 16th, 17th book, and it's going to be on broken medicine, because it is terribly broken right now as we speak. So you are the champion of your own health. You got to start taking it back. And the more people that take responsibility for this, the wonderful work that you, Dr. John, the number of people that you give them their life back, that's the greatest gift that we can give to our fellow man and woman, is the gift of life and the gift of health. Most people don't wake up in the morning feeling very good. They really don't. I don't. People call them and say, "Man, I just can't wait to face the day." Most people have to put 6 Red Bulls in them before they get out the door, or another couple of cups of coffee. And I was talking to a movie actor the other day, and he said, "Man, when I'm on the set, I just load myself up with espresso." Well, your adrenals are shot, and I could already tell him, but I don't want to tell him that, because he might get mad at me. But this is what happens. So I start my day with live whole foods, because when you heat those foods over 110, 115 degrees Fahrenheit, you destroy enzymatic activity and consequently the future life of the plant, which is all tied back to our soil. And I'm a farm boy. It's all about the soil. I knew that. My grandpa and my late father and my beautiful mama back in Ireland, my late mama, they would always say, if we don't harvest the land well this summer or this winter, we'll have no crops. We have to fertilize it. That was the thing that I heard as a young man. Fertilize. Put the nitrogen, put the potassium into the soil. And if you don't have that, they said you'll be looking at a very weak harvest. And they were right. And we all were praying for a good harvest. But the farmers that didn't cultivate the land properly and didn't actually fertilize the land with the right nutrients, they had a really poor crop.
Yeah,
and a cranky winter. Really,
it's when you look at the like you were talking, thousands of fast food restaurants.
Yeah,
that's not food. It's poisonous. It's going to destroy your gut flora. It's not good for you. Okay, so there's ways around this, but just know, like this right here, I've got The doctor will say, well, the pituitary controls the thyroid. Okay, what controls the pituitary, doc? It's the central nervous system. It's your perception of the environment. So if you're sitting here and you perceive us as scary, okay, all of a sudden your body's going to secrete cortisol. Thyroid's going to be suppressed. Everything else. If you perceive us as normal, nice, sweet, loving, thyroid's going to be firing up.
We're normal, natural, sweet.
I'm grumpy as hell a lot of times.
So
I'm just...
In a perfect world, we wouldn't have hardly any cortisol whatsoever. We would just be totally zen. Mm-hmm. We would be in that zen, enlightened state, and everybody would be in a total state of bliss.
Yeah.
But that's not possible, because I had my head chewed off a couple of times just today in a local grocery store, where people are just upset. Everybody seems to be so hyper and so angry over nothing. You're trying to be kind, and I don't want you to say thank you. I don't want to show appreciation. I want to show you appreciation, but don't tell me you appreciate me.
We're coming off of 3 years of propaganda.
Yeah, for sure.
So when you're looking at weight in the belly, seat, and thighs, okay, that's cortisol-mediated metabolic state. If you've ever had a problem where you're dieting, you're starving yourself, and you're not losing weight, belly, seat, and thighs, that's cortisol. Now, cortisol is life-sustaining. It's incredible short-term. It's fantastic. Best stuff in the world. Immune system, anti-inflammatory, heart and blood vessel tone, fantastic.
And a protection agent in a fight or flight syndrome. If you need it, you need to get away out of an unsafe situation, you need it to work. Some people get immobilized in a fight or flight situation or in a fear situation, so you need it. But the problem is we create too much of it because we simply do not know how to cope.
Yep, and that's it. Think of the deer, okay? They're hanging out with their buddies, enjoying the grass. Oh, dude, this is so cool. Okay, tiger. Okay. If you're in that chronic fight or flight state, you're not going to be digesting. You're not going to be building the body. So your body is responding correctly. Now, what's weird is, and this is like when you look at the difference or what raises a cortisol lowers the thyroid. What lowers cortisol raises the thyroid. And I think that you'd kind of find this funny. What raises cortisol? Low thyroid, inflammation, stress, tissue damage. I put a Th2 response, which is an inflammatory response, because there's a word up there that was there about an injectable medical procedure that we can't talk about. Toxic foods, that raises cortisol. What lowers cortisol? Okay, healthy thyroid function. How do you get a healthy thyroid? Good, healthy vegetables, healthy water. Healthy lifestyle, good low stress, sleep patterns, prayer, meditation. I mean, it works. And if you're wondering about the times that we're living in, prayer is really, really important.
Yeah, it really is. I have a very good friend. He's from Tibet, and he's a practicing monk, and he's been doing it for 50 years. And extreme weather conditions, whether it's either really hot, 121 during the day. I think I mentioned this on another program we did it together. And then very cold at nighttime, and he said he's able to manage the conflict and the miasms and all the conditions, covenants, and restrictions that are placed on him because of the threats that he gets from the government in his country, and he's had to move multiple times. And he said the only way he can handle that is to get on his knees and to pray. And it's not for everybody, but I do that a lot because I find it gives me great comfort considering all the elements that we are exposed to because of what's happening with our government, and we have more pressure on us than ever before. I see it in the youth of today. I see how angry they are. I see how aggressive they are. I see the drivers are aggressive. So we are living in a fast-paced, Fast and the Furious Part 20, I think it is. And so everybody is very aggressive, and nobody wants to say, hello, how are you? Nice to see you. You look great. Thank you. Bless you. None of that stuff is important to people anymore. So there's a lot of anger in the world. And we need to find a way to cope. And when we can cope and we can breathe, we just allow ourselves to breathe and just need some tools, then we can have a better quality of life.
Now, this was an inscription. I've heard that it was on King Solomon's ring. But it was actually an interview with Winston Churchill. Okay. And this was after World War II. And Winston Churchill, you're talking, we will fight on the beaches, we're talking iconic. And the interviewer says, what's the the one thing that sustained you? What's the one, phrase that you could cling to in that?
The driving force, yeah.
And he said, "This too shall pass." And that was on the ring of Solomon's ring. It might be urban legend. So this too shall pass. Okay, we're in a cyclical world. Okay, there's going to be challenges and traumas and all this other stuff.
Family dynamics.
Family dynamics.
It happens.
It happens. I don't know. Our families are
Our own
perfect.
health, our family's health, the health of our community, our loved ones, our parents getting older, we getting older. All these things happen. Accidents. These things happen on a daily basis. But it's all about how you show up and how you cope.
Now, getting back to thyroid and adrenals, although this is how you cope, exactly what you're talking about. This allows the thyroid and adrenals to function. Now, your thyroid produces T3, T4, T2, okay? T3 is super, super active, except that it's converted from T4 to T3 in the liver, in the kidneys, and intestines and lungs. So guess what? If you have a problem with breathing, and what's that? That's coming from the neck, diaphragmatic breathing, that's going to be an issue. If you're in a chronic state of stress, the liver is not going to function well. If you're toxic, your kidneys aren't going to function well. If you're taking toxic foods, your intestinal tract isn't functioning well.
You smoke, you drink, you take medication.
And what's going to happen?
All
You're going to be
those things.
misdiagnosed with a low-functioning thyroid. If you're exposed to estrogens, like plastic, hormones in meats, everything, and we can't talk about what they're adding into meats coming in. The omega-3 to 6 ratio. This is totally, completely the fast food industry. Okay, healthy diet is 1:1, 3:1, omega-6 to 3 ratio. Okay, disease starts at 8:1. American diet is 20:1. And when you look at some of these toxic seed oils, like you can't get a corn and squeeze it and get the oil out of it. You got to do a chemical process to get the oils out of there. Anytime you see a clear oil, that is poisonous. That's going to damage the arteries. If somebody's been into fast food, okay, what could you recommend to them to break that addiction and to clean out their system?
Yeah, those oils also are genetically modified, as indeed is most of our food. Over 75% of our food in America today is genetically modified, which is just absolutely incredible what we are doing to our society. We're killing our animals, we're killing our children, we're making them fat, we're killing our parents, we're killing ourselves with our choices. So someone on a processed diet, it would be a long-term challenge to get them to switch, because some people just say, I ain't giving up my steak, I'm not giving up my corn, I'm not giving up my beer, I'm not giving up my cigarettes. I have people tell me that all the time. And so, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So one step at a time. If it's a family member, it's going to be very difficult. I find that people will change when they're told that you've got 3 months to live. They want to make dramatic changes to their life. It's quite remarkable phenomenon, human behavior. You've witnessed that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've had people who were told by their doctor, you've only got 5 or 6 months to live. Now all of a sudden they want to stop the smoking and they want to really do everything, sell their car, sell the house just to get well. I've had people mortgage their homes just to get well. It's quite amazing phenomenon. So fresh fruits and vegetables, green superfoods, prayer, meditation, juicing, cleansing, and really honoring your body, honoring this temple. Temple is a place, or church, a place where you go and you pray and you give thanks for the gifts that our Creator has provided for us. So when you honor your body, you're not going to put these toxins in your body. You're not going to allow your body to be proliferated and just filled with this toxic garbage that makes you sick. And it happens over a period of time. Not overnight, but it's going to happen over a period of time. So what you do today will determine what the future looks like. You showed me those x-rays. I was not surprised when you showed me the deterioration of the bones. If people could see what they're doing to themselves on the inside, because they can't, their endothelium, the linings, the inflammation. So fresh fruits and vegetables, drinking plenty of water. People are drinking soda pop by the truckload. Big gulps. I went in the movie theater the other night, and the big gulps, this thing looked like it's a trough.
Yeah.
It's a trough that you give to cows in the field or the goats or sheep. It's ridiculous. It looked like wildebeest had been in the theater. There was ketchup, there was burgers, there's fries, there's wrappers. There's crap all over the place. It looks awful. So we need to clean up our ecosystem, clean up our environment, and then, of course, clean up our bodies by making better choices.
What I did with my kids, okay, now they're old, so they lived. So, evidently some of the stuff I did made them survive.
Good job.
You want French fries? You want potato chips? Beautiful. Let's go home and make it. Here's a knife. You give a kid a knife as long as they're old enough to handle it. They love cooking. Okay.
They like participating.
They like participating.
You got to set an example.
Yeah. Heat up a little bit of coconut oil or put it in the oven, put some olive oil on it. There's ways to make it. Okay. And they're involved in it. That's a good way to break that transition from the chicken
For
nuggets, Man, if you want to try, and I'm talking just cauliflower, and you put that in a little bit of breadcrumbs on the outside or a little bit of
Olive oil, organic.
Olive oil, you fry that sucker up. Man, it tastes like a good chicken.
By the way,
nugget.
home delivery business has jumped to $50 billion in the last 3 years.
Oh, no kidding.
I just read that the other night. Can you imagine what's happening?
Oh, yeah.
Our culture has gone through a massive shockwave that people are not eating out. Restaurants are closing up all over the country. And I was talking to a guy at a shoe store the other day, and he said, "Oh man, our shoe store doesn't really do very well, but our online business, man, it rocks." So people are buying stuff. They're not going out right now. They're actually staying at home. Restaurants are closing all over the country. And so people are buying stuff, and some of it is not very good. So better choices, more fresh fruits and vegetables, drinking tons of water. And of course, there's nothing like walking, getting out with a family and just really connected. There's been significant study, Dr. John, you've heard me mention this many times, that the connection we have with our loved ones, our family, is really important. In my country, a family of 11, it's all about the family. We would have a big feast of potatoes and whatever else, butter and salt and pepper and a glass of milk. That's how I grew up. We'd all get up and say, "Let's go for a little walk right now." We'd go down,
Cool.
all of us walking together. That's really important. I miss that a lot. And I find that is significant as it relates to longevity and also camaraderie and connection. Connection is really important. We are missing that, unfortunately, in this great country we call America, the greatest country in the world. We've lost that connection. If we can get that back, Dr. John, I mean, I'm from a family of 11. I mean, that's a big family. If we can get that back, then we have a tremendous chance at having a happier lifestyle and more connection with family and loved ones and friends, and better health in the process, because we're all going to be walking or riding our bicycles or just getting out and moving your body. That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
When we get people that are taking, the worst I've ever seen is 32 prescriptions, and they're nervous, they're anxiety and stress because what can I do? Can I give it the drugs?
That was for one person.
Oh yeah. Oh, the 32 prescriptions. She actually crashed into the lamppost in front of the office. And the police came in. This was probably 7-8 years ago, and no, I'm not drinking. These are all prescriptions, and it's like, holy moly.
Yeah, that for me bothers me greatly, and that's where my next book is called Broken Medicine. That bothers me so much so that we have to teach people that this is not right, and any doctor that would do that, you should lose your license, in my humble opinion, because that's just simply not right. I heard today from Malibu, California, that one driver swerved across the road, caused 5 or 6 car crashes, went over the ditch, and police cars everywhere. And I just said to the person that was telling me, I said, obviously, medication. The young lady who was the nurse from Las Vegas, she was living in Las Vegas, though, from Houston, Texas. She was doing, I think, 80, 90 miles an hour over in Hollywood, and went into a 7-Eleven, crashed in, killed a child. It flew the child up in the air and killed a couple of people, but she survived. She was a licensed nurse, and so medication, that's her defense. She was on additional medication. So that's the defense right now. And I understand that, and I get that, because people may be driving at 70, 80, 90 miles an hour and don't even know that they're doing that because they're in an unconscious state from the side effects of all this medication, and it bothers me greatly.
Yeah, nobody
Very
knows.
unsafe.
Nobody knows what 2 drugs do together, let alone 12 or 14
32
or 50.
is just abomination. It's bad.
But people do know. Okay, it's like if you ask anyone, okay, you have no access to your drugs. Okay, let's say you and me are on a deserted island, but you have fresh fruit, fresh water, fresh fish, fresh vegetables, but you don't have any access to the pharmaceutical products. Do you get healthier or sicker?
Sure, you get healthier.
100% stay healthier. 100%.
Yeah, it's amazing what can happen when you make that transition.
Mm-hmm.
When you make that transition from getting off the cigarettes, cutting back on your meds, and really starting to make better choices and the fresh fruits and vegetables and moving your body, boy, oh boy, you can really see the difference in people.
What I don't want you to do is look at these slides and say, well, niacin is good for you. Okay, and don't address the prayer, meditation, exercise, the healthy diet, because your body right now is responding correctly. Don't do this allopathetically, okay? Allopathetically means, oh, I got a low function thyroid. What herb can I take? Because I don't want to address my lifestyle, because that would have me look in the mirror and I don't want to see what the hell asshole I am.
Yeah,
You know,
and I
oh
prayed,
my God!
I
you
prayed
know,
for my thyroid to work, and it didn't work.
It didn't work. Just give me a drug so I don't need to change my lifestyle. No,
And that's where it's at.
we got to change that.
People want a pill for every single thing, a
Then-
lotion and potion for every single thing, and that's wrong.
And that's what they're trained for.
Yeah.
You want to run through a field with flowers? Take Lunesta. Okay. Yeah, cool. You know?
Yeah.
No. We're going to change that. So when we look at this, the physical, chemical, emotional stress, okay, when you look at when we talk about the 5 keys, what's Dr. Tony talking about? Okay, the central nervous system. If you're in a state of prayer and joy and love, you're in a healthy autonomic balance. If you're exercising, this helps your body work correctly. Okay, proper nutrition. This means if your great grandparents recognize that it's good for you. Sleep. Prayer, meditation. It seems too simple.
I learned that from my late parents back in Ireland. Prayer was so important to me. It was so powerful. I had this remarkable connection consciously, physically, mentally, emotionally, and of course on a spiritual level. And my mother was the happiest woman alive. And I thought, why is she so happy? And she's saying the rosary all the time. To each their own. I'm not here preaching religion, but to each their own in what they decide what spirituality looks like to you. But for me, it works really, really well. It may be different for you. So whatever path you wish to be on, be it of peace and love and joy and compassion, then that's a really good thing. Meditation is really good, soft music. And if you can avoid all the triggers, the harsh movies, the shoot-me-ups, the horror movies, all that stuff, and just find total balance, because sooner rather than later, if you're not already in an unbalanced state, you're going to be in a really unbalanced state, and then you'll end up in the hospital.
What you put in your brain matters.
Yes.
Okay, that means that if you're watching something that you have a challenge with every day, you're seeing the ticker tape. How many people are dying from this? Okay, what's our insane government doing? Okay, is China attacking us? Okay, constantly doing this stuff. Okay, you're going to be having an adrenal fatigue. And consciously put things in your brain that you want.
Hyper anxiety.
Read about prayer, listen to meditation music, go for a walk, exercise. Okay, fill your brain and heart with joy and laughter and love. I've got 3 things that I look at every day. Edgar Casey has got some cool stuff. Daily prayer is kind of cool. Okay, it's just neat. And I consciously put that in my brain because I don't want to be, even though I got to do a bunch of research and find out what's happening in the world. Like that's what we're going to talk about next. Okay, that I can't talk about with on the censored.
And also forgiveness.
Oh,
forgiving others
huge.
And forgiving yourself. As difficult as that is, there are people that did you wrong. We all know that. And if you can overcome that, boy, oh boy, can you heal so fast. And I have tons and tons of patients that have come to me, and I said to them for therapy, and I said, let's do this. Are you willing? They said, yes. And boy, oh boy, they healed almost on the spot. It's hard to believe, but that's true. Forgiveness for you, forgiveness for others, forgiveness for yourself, attitude of gratitude has if you just think about that a moment, there's like a warmth over your soul, okay? Yeah.
And things will work. But we're going to get into a dangerous area. that it's so weird. It's so weird that we
use
have
that
to
word.
separate this.
Yeah.
But YouTube and Facebook, we got over our strike, so now we're on live. God bless you. And we're going to be back next week with some cool stuff. And Facebook, God bless you too. But we're going to get into some dangerous territory. So I'll see you next week. And I'm going to try and get Dr. Tony here as much as I can, because I feel better when I'm next to him.
Likewise.
So I'll see you later.